Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Welcome to the program. I am Tom Connors. With me today is Clobbering Times. How are you doing?
Hey, all right, buddy. Thanks for having me. Good to see you. Good to see my buddy Nick and CC and you wonderful people in the chat. Hope you're all having a good start to your week.
Indeed, and we also have with us Mr. Nick Weiser, all 32 flavors of him.
Hello, Tom. Hello, Clobby. Hello, CC. Hello, Chad. And hello, Wrenches. Good to see you all. Slow news day, but the few things I think we're going to talk about, we're going to have some fun taking some shots at it. So, hello to you all. Let's enjoy this Tuesday night. Shot.
All right. And we also have with us Mr. CC Karaoke. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, it works.
Glad
to be back.
Okay.
Karaoke.
Yes, welcome back. You've been gone for a couple of weeks because Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, we celebrate it early up here for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it's also when I make the switch from my summer road trip to my winter digs in Whistler.
Look at this turd. He's behind my fucking screen right now. Just doing his fucking thing. Got zero fucks to give.
Good.
And also waiting in the back, ladies and gentlemen. Six, how you doing?
Six.
Good.
Hey, Six.
Well, is that the only window that asshole has to look out of?
No, he's just being a dick.
He just likes that window. He's
cats
not being
do.
a dick.
There's something
He's
over
being an
there that he
asshole.
wants to see right now.
Yeah.
Cats are always.
No, he's got at least dozen or better windows he could probably look out of. He just picked this one right now because he knows he's not supposed to be up here.
Because he loves you.
Cats are.
No,
sure.
he just wants to do what he wants to do. How you doing, Six?
I'm doing all right. I'm getting better. I still sound a little bit like a fog.
A little
worm.
under the weather, but not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad.
Welcome. We're glad to have you with us here. And we have very little to discuss tonight. I'm going to let you guys out there in the chat decide most of it because I have a feeling these topics we have today are just not going to go. Oh, hey, we got Flash in the chat. If you're not busy, hop in, buddy.
Hey.
I know you're
I
probably busy with the
suggested
kiddo, but-
multiple
Hi,
topics
Yellow.
for tonight.
You did?
Oh,
Did I miss him?
We're sorry, Six. I didn't see
fam-
any of
In
them.
the family.
We're
group
not
chat.
talking about
In
that
the-
shit. I told you that.
Okay. Well,
What?
I'm not getting a sex
at least
change.
I tried.
Oh, whoa, Tom.
We've had this discussion several times over. No.
I just think it would be. I think it would be like a maybe a 12-part series following your journey.
Not in this case. That's not the kind of journey I want to take.
No. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
yeah, I'd watch it.
I'm not saying I
My
wouldn't
God,
watch it
I'd film
either. Oh Lord. Of course you would. So yeah, we'll see what you guys come up with for us to talk about. But we do have a couple things we can discuss here. This has been the talk of the town Daily Wire drops a teaser for their rival Snow White film, trolling Disney.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure we'll discuss this a little bit tomorrow, but for those who haven't seen it yet, let's check this thing out here. Or no, this ain't even the video, is it? Or is it? Okay, here we go. No, it's their video. Screw them, jerks.
Well, whose video did you want to watch?
I was gonna show the trailer.
Oh,
it says video.
You could show off the trailers, and DW doesn't penalize you for it. To be fair,
I know. I thought that's what this was.
It's not the DW video. Oh,
yeah, I'm getting an ad. I think it's the Hollywood Reporter's version of it, if I'm not mistaken. I'll wait through this ad. If it's not the trailer after this ad, I'm gonna be pissed. So, yeah, fuck you, Ford.
I can send you the trailer.
Yeah, if worse comes to worse, 6. Go ahead, but
okay,
we'll see what happens. No, this is fucking their shit.
Disney's upcoming live action.
I'll screw you, Hollywood Reporter. You're a bunch of dicks. All right, so let's check this trailer out and get everybody's opinion on this, because this has been something that people have been talking about here. You got it, 6, or do you need me to grab it? Okay, cool.
Oh, I'm going to put it in the private chat.
Oh, okay. I was going to say share it or whatever.
Right there.
Yeah, got it.
Right in the private.
Right in the private.
Okay,
private
now look
parts.
Look at this. Look what JFJ says. 6 is right. Race and gender swapping. See, I wasn't even thinking race swapping, but we could do a full-on Michael Jackson skin darkening because he's pretty pale.
I'm trying to imagine what Tom would look like black, and it's
I'm black.
Don't do blackface, Tom.
Honestly, you want to know the honest to God truth? If I was going to transition into anything, I would probably feel the most comfortable black. I'll be honest with you. Like, between anything else that I could, like, motherfucker, you know I could drop some rhymes. Don't be laughing at me.
That's racist.
That's racist.
Can all black people rhyme?
No, but
that's racist. Sorry,
that's racist. There's not too many white boys who can flow.
But there's some black men who can shred on guitar.
Yeah, that's a totally different story. Well, that's because black people invented rock and roll anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. Facts. Yeah.
Not as a black woman. But then again, I am kind of a diva.
Oh. All
right, let's watch
go to Kamala for advice.
Speaking of race, here we go.
Here we go.
Well, this is actually 4K. Wow. It won't come through 4K.
The beginning of a King Kong movie. Oh, I guess not.
In time a prince would come. Once upon
I can't believe Mr. H didn't realize that was CGI. It's so easy to tell.
It's freaking adorable, though.
But it is good. It's good CGI. This is some really good CGI here, too. And they used really good CGI to make Ben Shapiro look like Snow White. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
There's a resemblance.
Brett Cooper.
Snow White and the Evil Queen. Okay, so I want to get everybody's opinion on this. Let's start with you, 6.
I thought this was a complete spoof satire joke until Mr. H reviews this afternoon when you guys were talking about it like it's real, and I was like, what a bunch of dummies. So then I started looking into it, and I was like, wow, I'm a big dummy.
Real.
It's real. Yeah, I went and looked at the new TV movie production studio that they have, Bent Key, and I watched their video talking about themselves and all the child-friendly content.
Oh wow, you went down the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, I don't fuck around. When I want to know something, I want to know it. And I can't believe it's real, but it is. And I think it's poorly timed. They're gonna end up looking foolish, I think.
Yeah, Clobby?
I didn't know it was real. I saw the trailer and I thought like 6 thought it was just a joke. They were messing around until you and actually just 6 just informed me of that. That's as much as I know. But I don't know how it's going to make them look or not. I mean, I don't. It's tough to form an opinion on it. I think I love Brett Cooper. She's a cutie and all that stuff, but how much is this going to reach? How big is this thing going to be? I don't know. I don't even know if I'll watch it. I wouldn't watch that really anyway.
Yeah. Nick?
Yesterday I learned some things about
All
Brett
my
Cooper. It
troubles
seems
was-
like I kind of maybe misjudged her, admittedly, and because I thought, okay, she looks like a little bit like a Snow White. Okay, great, but can she act? And then I got corrected and was told, oh, she actually does have acting credentials. So she's
okay.
not just someone who's on YouTube and who's obviously a successful commentator. Apparently, she actually has credentials, and I'm like, oh, okay. No, hey, I stand corrected. I mean, I don't want to say that I'm interested, but I hope that it turns out good for those who watch it, and hopefully, if it becomes something that, let's just say, if enough people talk about it, maybe I'll at least check it out. I mean, I hope it. At least she looks like Snow White. The other girl's Rachel Zegler, so I'll give her that.
Yeah.
There's Snow White and there's Rachel Zegler.
It'll be better than that one for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna see the Zegler one at all costs. This, if I get enough interest by enough people, I'll at least consider it. But hey, hopefully people out there enjoy it and give it a shot. And hopefully, in Daily Wire, if you're somehow listening, please do some smart marketing around this. Don't have everything behind a paywall. Like maybe, I don't know, the first one day of this for free on Twitter or something, because I think that's definitely hurts some of the originals. Because I've heard some good things about stuff like What is a Woman? And I'm like, okay, cool. But then you have stuff like Terror on the Prairie, which I thought was decent, which I did see. But a lot of people didn't talk about it. And I don't think it just had to do with just being okay, but it's just a lot of people just didn't even know about it. The accessibility is not there. You should give people an incentive to sign up for your program. Just say, well, if you want to give it a shot, you gotta sign up. Or even at least a week free or something. They gotta do something to give people to want to watch it, especially if you're a normie. And I like that they're trying to put out what looks to be a normie-based movie as well. I'll give them credit there too. Not because, and man, anyone who knows me knows I can't stand when Matt Walsh talks about culture. So this definitely balances things out, and they're gonna need it to, because Grandpa's gonna start talking bad about anime any day now. So they need this to balance him out.
CC?
I want to see them succeed with their original programming. I'd like to see some kind of competition in Hollywood, but I'm not convinced that this has happened yet. With Gina Carano, I mean, it just didn't gain any traction in the discussion. And it's not just Snow White. They seem to be doing this with a couple of different things now. They're doing Convicting a Murderer. If you remember the Netflix show Making a Murderer, they did a TV miniseries to take the other side of that whole story that says, well, maybe he's guilty. Maybe he's an awful person after all, and that the Netflix series is biased. The Netflix series definitely captured the cultural zeitgeist. It got a lot of conversation, both seasons. And they made this other side documentary to that, and nobody's talking about it. It's got nothing.
I think that's a flaw to it, CC. It seems like they're getting better at as far as making things, but as far as the reach, I think the reach is what hurts them the most now, not just the quality. Because quality sounds like it's improving. I've heard good things, tons about What is Woman.
Oh, so
even that murderer show. I've actually heard good things, and that's like, okay, that's a step, but yeah, they definitely got to work on the reach.
And I love the idea. They're taking the other side. Like, documentaries can definitely be biased, right? I mean, whether they're awesome or they're awful, there's usually a bias involved. It's just, it's like the news. And I'd love to see that other side of it. And I love that they're doing a great job with it. But people actually have to watch it, and they seem to be failing at that so far. Nobody's paying attention.
Yeah, first of all, I got to say, I found this video of her. So I'll give her that she seems younger in this video. She comes off younger than she does in the trailer. But she looks more like Ben Shapiro here. And she does in the trailer.
She really does. Yeah, there's a
Laying in bed,
resemblance.
scrolling
Like, look
on
at her.
Instagram
Like,
and
oh my
TikTok,
God. What the
trying
fuck?
to find content that is not angry leftists having a meltdown.
Okay, so.
You should find a
Just the
picture of them
eyebrows.
side by side. I mean,
Maybe.
they've talked about like getting DNA testing to see if they are related.
Is this like a Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson thing?
Maybe. No,
That would
I don't
be
know if
interesting.
they've done it, but Yeah,
That'd be
I
interesting.
think she's great. I think she's a beautiful young lady.
I mean,
she's very articulate. She's
Agreed.
young, obviously young, but that is the most unattractive version of her I have ever seen.
look, yeah, like that's the thing I have with here. And we gave a lot of thoughts on this on Mr. H's stream about 2 hours ago. And I stand by everything I kind of said there, basically. And that is that I don't think this was the right move for Daily Wire because it's going to come off as exactly what it looks like, a troll poorly done. They aren't spending nearly the money Disney would spend on something like this. They don't have the audience.
Well, maybe they don't need to spend that type of money.
That's true, but I don't know what the budget is on this. I would like to know.
Yeah.
And my opinion is this was the wrong thing to do if they're trying to launch a family business, because to me this looks like they're going tit for tat and they're doing exactly what I don't want them to do, and that is, you know, overtly make right-wing entertainment, because like my whole point is all politics should be aside, and entertainment should be able to be, you know, viewed by anybody unless you're telling a specific story, right? That's historical or whatever.
But that's what they said they're doing. They said they don't.
I hope that's what the case is, but nothing about this really looks inviting to a kid. And not only that, Disney is making their own bed and lying in it with Snow White. They're the ones that have a historical attachment to it. Daily Wire doesn't. And the point I'm trying to get to, and the point I made on Mr. H's stream, is DreamWorks gave Disney a run for its money by not trying to compete. See, that's what they did at first, right? You know, because Katzenberg left Disney in a huff and went over and created DreamWorks with Spielberg and Geffen. And all he did was tell them what Disney's next few movies were going to be. And that's why we got Deep Impact and, you know, to go up against Armageddon. That's why we got Ants to go up against Bugs Life, all that kind of business. Where
Don
things
Bluth.
finally, I'm just saying this is the reason. There's a reason for this, because they tried to copy Disney. They just couldn't quite capture the audience, right? So then they tried shifting a bit. And they're like, okay, well, let's quit making animated films for just specifically like the younger audience, and let's try to do, you know, families, but yet maybe geared towards the older audience. And it didn't work right away. They had some success with Prince of Egypt, but Spirit didn't do too well. And sadly, their best of the bunch, Road to El Dorado, did not do well at the box office either. And I thought that was a very, very well done film.
Yeah, that's one of my
Then what
favorites.
happened was they did Shrek. Because they're like, instead of trying to beat Disney at their game, we're just going to fucking say, you know what? Here's our middle finger, sit and spin. And that's what Shrek was. They paid a bunch of money to have Eddie Murphy, Mike Myers, Cameron Diaz do voices. And they brought this thing out and it blew Disney out of the water because it's nothing like anything they were doing before. That's the point I'm getting to. They should try and do something family oriented that Disney isn't trying to do. Right? Because all you're going to do is be compared to Disney now. And this is not going to live up to Disney money. Sure, it may be a better version of Snow White.
That's
but guess
never
what?
going to happen no matter what.
Nobody's asking for another version of Snow White in the first place. That's my point.
No.
Here's what I'm going to, I guess I'm going to kind of defend Daily Wire in this regard. A lot of the things that they've been putting out, excluding entertainment, have been responses to things that have been coming out, like when they put out their chocolates, because when Hershey's did their whole campaign on woke ideology, they responded with putting out the he, him, she, her chocolates. They also responded with the whole Gillette thing with their own, with Jeremy's razors. So they have been putting out those things as a response. So this is another thing in the line of it. I mean, I would once again, I don't want to judge on it being a right wing thing until we actually get enough word about it. It looks okay, but yeah, it doesn't need to make as much money as Disney. I don't think honestly that part matters at all. I think it just needs to at least get to a decent audience, that there's at least engagement about it for a few weeks. I think that so at least enough people can be, hey, did you at least hear about this thing? I think that's what they gotta work on, is the reach. Because the money I don't think is relevant.
Well, I do, in a sense that, do they have the subscriber base to support this? Are they making the same mistake Disney is? Right? Like I said, nobody asked for another Snow White in the first place. That's true. Like they're saying it in the chat. Just let Disney burn. Yeah, exactly. Let them make their own fucking bed and lay in it. That's their own fault if they want to shit all over their legacy. You don't have to sit there and show them up, but what you can do, and I agree with Six and Klobby on this should have just been like a 10-15 minute skit. Is
Mhm.
really what it should have been. Because guess what? They would have gotten a lot more press and attention if they were doing like this take on what Disney's doing and actually made it a joke, like an SNL skit, than actually trying to make a 90-minute, 2-hour epic Snow White retelling. Because guess what? We don't fucking need one.
No.
Like we have 100 of them already. That's the biggest problem with this Snow White over at Disney is nobody fucking asked for it in the first place. Like,
I also
Go ahead,
Agreed.
Cece.
I also wonder if it's a bit similar to the YouTube thing. It's like where you build a channel around a certain kind of content, and if you do something completely different than what your base is built around, it doesn't get traction. Whether or not what they're doing, whether or not this Snow White movie is great, it's not their content, right? They're asking for their existing base to buy into something different than what they normally do. That 10 or 15 minute skit, the SNL style thing, would be closer to their general content, right? Their news, but it would be a parody take on the news. That would probably do more because their built-in audience is the news.
Yeah.
well, on that note, Andre Enrico says Daily Wire has over 1 million subscribers, and I'd believe that, but that's compared to Disney Plus, which has 146 million subscribers.
Mm.
Right. And as CC just pointed out, a good portion of those 1 million subscribers that are on Daily Wire, they don't give a shit about this video shit. They're just there to for the news.
Well, but they're trying
Yeah.
to promote this Bent Key Productions.
And I
And
think that's the other mistake
it's
is
a
they need to separate it
separate-
from, they need to separate it
They
more.
do have a separate app from that. This different name
Yeah.
and everything for children's content. And I think that's a great idea. I think that's a big step in the right direction. Maybe I'll give some of the content look just to see what it's like. But it is definitely a good move in that direction, as long as they maintain that. Because if they keep it politically charged in any way, that I will say would be them shooting themselves in the foot. It doesn't matter. Go ahead, Six.
Has anybody seen any of their fiction that they've been
I
associated with?
saw Terror on the
other than-
Prairie.
Yeah,
I saw
other
Terror on the
other
Prairie.
than that. Okay, well, wait. Let me go back to Terror on the Prairie. Was that right leaning?
No, not at all.
Okay, so I'm assuming nobody else has seen any of their other content that they
No, but they also bought that one movie about the school shooting.
And they bought a superhero movie thing.
Yeah, there was some other. They bought some of their entertainment. They've only produced some of it.
Okay,
Right,
but what I'm
so-
saying is we don't know based on what that trailer we saw is not right leaning.
Yes, you're
No,
correct.
We're
Six.
Not at all.
assuming,
And I'm
we're
not
ass-
assuming. Well, I'm not assuming. I'm just saying. I hope they don't fall into that trap. Is what I'm saying. Six.
Yeah, I think based on that it was like a 9-minute segment from the guy, I guess, who's running the Bent Key studio.
Mhm.
It seems like they're just making it okay for families to watch without having some kind of message.
That's what they
gonna
said they
pop
want to
up.
do. That's what they mean. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
to do. Yeah.
And so I think that's what they're trying to do, whereas Daily Wire is, so political.
Right.
But I don't see it as going to be anti woke or right leaning in any way. I think it's
Yeah, it
just
just
going to
needs to
be
be
something
neutral.
that's like old school family friendly stuff. I haven't
They-
seen anything,
Yeah.
but based on that 9-minute video that I watched,
Right.
which they had a bunch of clips from some of the kids shows,
Mhm.
that was the indication that I.
That is the intention, and they said they figure out they're trying to take back the culture in the sense that just bring it back to being entertainment and keep all the politics out of it on either side is what
Yeah.
and that's what they intend of what Daily Wire, but Becky wants to do.
Well, they
Well,
got
that's
Even
where
if even if they are right leaning, I'm not saying that's wrong either.
No,
I'm
it's
not
not.
saying
There's
that there's
nothing wrong with
anything
being
wrong.
No,
with
no,
that.
no.
I'm just
And then
saying
that's
that-
where I agree
Yeah,
with you,
exactly,
Six. But at
right.
the same time, that's fine. Do that, but separate this somehow
Yeah,
from
I
that.
agree.
Because that's the
I
problem
agree.
is now you have that stigma. And Jason Webster says, take that, Disney, and no Rachel Zegler either. And I
Okay.
understand that sentiment. But really, the only way Disney's going to take anything is if this movie somehow manages to get more attention than theirs does. And I just don't see that happening. And the only other way I can see this as a win for Daily Wire is if it actually does bring some attention to their app, and they didn't spend much on it, right? Like if I come to find out the budget was only a couple $1 million or whatever, then okay, fine, whatever. Because that's the thing is, look, Do I say they shouldn't do something like this? No. My point is they should try something a little different. The money could probably be spent in a better way. Or this
What's
should just
that
be a
show that they're working on that's based off a book? I know they're working on a show that's based off
I
a
don't know.
book.
Pendragon.
Is that what it is?
I think.
I've not paid much attention to a lot of their commentators recently, but I do know that they're making a show based off a book, and I did recall, I think it was Clavin said that they want to make sure it was very, very close to the source material on the book. And if
Mhm.
you have guys like Andrew Clavin involved,
Yes.
this could be in really good hands.
He's
Just
good. Yeah.
More Clavin, as far as culture goes, have guys like Clavin involved, because Clavin, as far as DW goes, in my opinion, he understands the culture the best out of all of them.
Absolutely.
In my opinion,
Yes.
he's the best. And just don't have Matt Walsh coming on any of this, because he's good for politics, but he's not good with the culture.
Terrible for culture.
I think
Clavin's the best when it comes to that stuff.
Yes,
I think one of the difficulties that Disney's run into lately is that it's now supervised viewing for your children. If you're going to let them watch the shows, you kind of have to be in the room with them, right? So I think there's definitely a market there for creating children's content that you don't have to supervise, and they can get into that, but you have to focus that marketing. And if you're going every which direction with a whole different bunch of things like Convicting a Murderer or Gina Carano, and I'm glad that they did the Gina Carano movie, but focus in and make it like you said, make it a separate app from Daily Wire and advertise it and build it. There should be a market for that.
Yeah, I don't think they should associate it with Daily Wire so much, is my point on that respect, just because of the political side of things. But Jason Webster's not wrong. It does add a long list of people who are currently giving Disney the middle finger. But my point again is just that I think there's better ways they could go about it. And maybe I'll be wrong.
I think that they're trying to utilize Daily Wire to promote the app, which I can't find. It's called Bent Key, and I typed it with a space, without a space, capitalized, non-capitalized, and I can't find it anywhere in my Play Store.
That's a tough name. I'm thinking about this sometimes, like band names. There's a band called Spoon. There's names that you just should not have in the age of Google, because if you try to Google a name or search for it, there's like Bent. Did you say Bent Key?
Bent Key, yeah.
That's an awful name. You try to search anything. Bent Key is a very, very general search term. You're going to find.
You'll probably get a bunch of videos
key.
trying to show you how to fix a bent key before you
exactly.
find.
I mean, I think isn't there a
possible thing you can
Matchbox
do.
20 song that's called Bent?
I can't find it.
All
Either.
right.
So you'll get the
Let's see how
Matchbox 20 song.
complicated this
Yeah.
is.
All I get is Bentley.
Jesus. Yeah, that's a horrible. Well, that or they could be being suppressed. Now let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and then it comes up with a Daily Wire one, which is not Bent Key.
Sith Holocron says, I just started Castlevania Nocturne. Well, I'm glad you found something that blows your mind, according to your little emojis there. I haven't got into the Castlevania bit yet, but people have said both good and bad things about it. So then we got Day Trip Era, who sends in, what is that? That's Argentinian Souls, if I remember correctly, 100 of them. And says, Daily Wire is releasing a kids app that we did mention. So this probably will be part of it. Of course it is, I think. And I bet they will release this for free for a limited time on Twitter. I imagine they will, just like they did with What is a Woman documentary. I believe so, but I just don't know if it'll generate the kind of interest and write-ups that the What is a Woman doc did at the end of the day.
Yeah, and people in chat are saying they're not having any problem finding the app, but I just checked again, and I
couldn't.
I mean, I must live in Satan's armpit or something.
Who
They
knows?
just don't
That's
want
gotta
me
be
to find
really
it.
smelly.
Yeah. Well, I
I'm
have
not
no
finding
hold
it
on.
either.
right
Billy
now.
Go Boom said it's on the Apple Store, so maybe it's not on.
May not be on Android then.
Yeah, I think that's the.
What's
Because
the
like
Right
matter?
as
When's
Jay
it
said
coming
he
to
Wire
found
see?
it.
came up.
On Google.
Daily Wire came up immediately on my Android, but I didn't get the.
Yeah, Daily Wire came up
Bent
on mine
Key.
too. So Apple's got it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Coach O'Dragon says there's been trends. I've been following example to the Dragon Prince. Has been Hote, Helova Boss. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. They got more attention every day than what Disney gets. Do they though? Like, I mean, I'd actually have to see. Look, it's not like I'm not saying that people aren't enjoying this entertainment, and that's fine. But it's like we need to kind of keep this at like I'm just trying to say, keep it at like understand that on the level of what Netflix, that Disney Plus, that HBO Max, that those guys have as far as subscribers compared to what Daily Wire has and what are actually viewing the video stuff is such a huge difference, right? And I'm not saying that it's not good entertainment, it's not working. It's just, yeah, like, look, if you can find stuff on there that you can enjoy, that's cool. I got it for a little bit for the whole Gina Carano interview, and I never even got around to watching her movie, and there was never anything on it that we could use for Midnight's Edge, so I just ended up letting it go after the year subscription. So I mean, I supported them when they did the whole thing with Gina Carano as far as that goes, but other than that, there was nothing else for me on there that I really needed to get into, because they don't really cover much for entertainment. But if they continue to become a player, if they start to get more interest and start to get more people talking about them, you never know. And I think there was a better way about this too, but you never know.
You
Well,
could do
maybe
a
this
lot
could
with
be the
with a
thing
single
that
camera.
gets
A
some
single
eyes on you.
Go ahead.
Well, I just mentioned, like, I was gonna say it, but it looks like Nick Gurgi beat me to saying it. But alternative entertainment does have to start somewhere, and you know what? Maybe this is them getting those things going. We gotta remember we're in a day and age where we receive stuff so frequently because of Netflix, Amazon, Disney, that we got kind of comfortable with the frequency and immediacy of it all. That now it's just kind of like a start back from scratch. Yeah, these things are not going to happen overnight, and I think they have the potential to get a better reach as time goes on, because people do stumble onto these things by accident. What's that movie it was called? Run, Kill, something like that came out through dealer. I did hear people who were leftists who caught it on accident that thought it was decent, and it happens. So I think slowly more and more of it can happen. It's just we got to be patient with it, and I know that's hard to do considering how instantaneous everything is nowadays.
There's also just the stigma, unfortunately, and that's where I'm coming from.
Oh, and there's that too. Yeah,
I'm not saying it's fair, but
that's a legitimate that's a legitimate complaint. That's something I have.
It may be somewhat unjustified in a way, because, like I said, I haven't really seen, and Six even asked that question. So again, my worries and concerns may be completely,
they're valid.
I don't know if they are. Maybe not. I mean, I think I'm right at least about how they should try to separate themselves from the Daily Wire, at least for the just the image of it. But I'm not saying that they
because Daily Wire is definitely not for kids.
Well, yeah, and not just that. Well, just this would be like CNN trying to do shit. Like, that's what I'm getting at here. It's like it makes little sense to attach the two properties together. I mean, sure, you can use Daily Wire to advertise your shit, but yeah. Anyway,
I was hanging out with my parents over Thanksgiving, and we had this conversation we've all had before, which is things you can't make today. We were saying you probably couldn't even do Seinfeld today, and I kind of agree with that.
I had been planning to do it.
Instead of Daily Wire's trying to make these big feature films, maybe they should actually just have a simple set with one camera, some good writers, and a cast. Do the old sitcom thing, cheap production, but build off of that. Start small, start simple, and make things that you can't really make today. It's so that it is it's not political necessarily, but it's a little bit more free than what you would see.
So I got the BenKey app, and I scrolled through some of these cartoons. Some of them actually look pretty promising if I was a kid. I'm not gonna lie. There's some of these I'm like, wow, okay, I could see my kids get there. There's a thing called Kid Explorer. Okay, you got the educational stuff covered, and they got a cartoon called Chipchilla, which looks to be a family of chinchillas. Maybe that's their response to doing something like Bluey. So it looks like they got, and there's a show called Runes that looks like it's more towards the epic side of things. So I mean, they already got a good amount of stuff on here too. Like, it's not like there's like two things. There's like well over 10, 15 things on here, maybe more. So hey, cool. Maybe I'll have to give some of these a look.
Yeah,
Let's hope
build
for the
trust.
best of it.
Look
yeah,
at it, see what you think about it.
I'm
Maybe
definitely
maybe you end up
gonna sample it.
subscribing. You know, it's
Yeah, I'm gonna sample it. They actually have, because I didn't like pay for the subscription, but I got the free version of the app. But they do have samples of the episodes, and they're like up to a few minutes long each. So that is a good way to say, okay, if I like this, you got me. So hey, let's hope for the best. I'll let you guys know on Thursday.
All right. Well, speaking of reboots and such, Matthew Vaughn, for some reason, has decided he's going to reboot Kick-Ass and continue the Kingsman film series. So let's see what this is all about. This comes from Bounding into Comics. Director Matthew Vaughn, known for Layer Cake, X-Men First Class, the first Kick-Ass, and the Kingsman films, confirmed at New York Comic-Con this past weekend that he plans to direct a reboot of Kick-Ass and also has more Kingsman films in the works. As reported by Entertainment Weekly, Vaughn appeared at New York Comic-Con to promote his upcoming Argyle film starring Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Sam Rockwell. According to the outlet, Vaughn plans to tackle a reboot of Kick-Ass following Argyle's release. So, like, he's jumping right into this, it sounds like. Vaughn said during the panel presentation, Kick-Ass changed people's perception of what a superhero film is. We're doing it again. He added, none of the other characters from the other Kick-Asses are in it, though we'd like to have them back for the reboot. I can't really talk about it, but it's fun. How is it Kick-Ass if Kick-Ass ain't gonna be in it?
Oh my god.
Maybe it's if I have to, let me think about this.
What?
No, I don't understand that statement. I think he may have
That's what I'm
misspoke.
trying to say.
I think he misspoke, because I've heard Matthew Vaughn speak before, and he usually doesn't sound well.
None of the other characters from the other
better
Kick-Ass are
spoken.
in it, though we'd like to have them back after the reboot. I can't really talk about it, but so it sounds like to me that none of the characters from the original Kick-Ass are going to be in it, but then they'll be back after the first reboot film. But like, so what is it going to be, like a spin-off film? Let's see if there's any more.
That.
I don't understand
know
this
if he's
either.
Talking like, is he saying that it's just not the same cast members? I think he should have worded his statement better.
Could be the
it's
reporter.
Way too confusing. Way too confusing.
Yeah, because he's just talking about the first film after that.
No, I'm absolutely down for more Kingsman. I will say that, especially that first movie I love the first Kingsman.
I mean, it's been 10 years since the sequel. I get that, but
it's just I don't understand any of this.
Here's the issue. Here's the problem. I mean, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I feel like they should just kind of left Kick-Ass alone. And I hate saying this because I love Matthew Vaughn. I actually think he's one of the better directors out there today. He actually is a fan of the comic book medium, and I do respect that about him a lot. And I'm glad he wants to do more Kingsman. That to me excites me. Like the Kingsman part excites me. But the thing is, the casting was so good with with Kick-Ass and Kick Girl. And obviously you can't have those two actors play those parts today because they're a lot older.
Yeah,
but and also what's that guy's name? Oh, I forget his name. The guy who's now Aaron Taylor Johnson. He couldn't play a character, not just because he's too old, but the dude's way too shredded to play the role now. He's a monster. He couldn't play Linky Dinky Kick-Ass. He couldn't do that even if he wanted to.
How many more comics were there? Like I was trying to
like 5 series. So in all fairness,
there
was like 5 series on it. And it wasn't this character, Dave. It wasn't Dave who was in all the series books. So
then that's probably what he means. Yeah,
Dave Lazowski. Dave Lazowski is his name. My memory's coming back to me. Dave Lazowski was, I think, volumes 1 and 2. Now, however, he has come back in recent runs recently attached to big Mark Miller crossovers. So maybe they're timing this out for a big Dave Lazowski comeback. I don't know. I personally think, and I could be wrong, I think Matthew Vaughn meant to say that it's going to be different cast members and maybe they could come back to play different characters. I don't know.
That I think he's saying, but I don't know if he's saying that so much as I think that the quote reads as it's going to be different characters from the other. And I think if they changed out characters and they had Kick-Ass comics without Kick-Ass, then that's probably what they're doing.
Well, there was a character who took on the mantle of Kick-Ass. There was another character.
Then that's probably what it is.
And Dave, like I said, Dave Lazuski does
But-
eventually make his comeback. So
I don't know how the comics go in that respect, because I was never like, I liked the first one, okay, and then I realized how the movie was made at the same time and ended differently, and
mhm.
I actually preferred the movie version better than the comic version, so
Oh,
I never
so do I.
read on beyond that.
Me
So
too.
yeah, so like if they actually have this situation where somebody got the mantle handed down to him, I could almost see them commenting on this mantle passing. Did I say handle? I meant mantle. Mantle passing down of thing going on lately in Hollywood. I could see them playing into that with a kick-ass reboot. Actually,
And the Kingsman went to 4 or 5 limited series as well too. So they do got a lot of ground they can cover with that. They definitely got a lot of ground that they could cover with that. So I'm fine with the Kingsman.
it just
I'm
felt
definitely
like
skeptical on Kick-Ass.
the thing
But
is, I
hey,
like that Matthew Vaughn's involved, because that was the thing. Like the comic of Kick-Ass had a very mean-spirited tone
Oh,
to
it
it.
was evil, dude.
Where
Yeah,
the
it
movie has a very sweet tone to it. Then they're
Yeah,
two
totally
completely
different.
animals. Yeah.
The comic's disturbing and disgusting, and ugh, God, so revolting.
Jim
don't
Carrey
get me
still
wrong,
went off on the second
I
movie.
love a lot of Mark Miller stuff, but man, when he's at his most brutal, whether it's that or Nemesis, it's definitely you gotta take a shower after you read some of it, because
Yeah, it's just
he
really
knows
weird.
how. I think his brutality fits characters more like Nemesis. I think it's perfect for characters like Nemesis, because Nemesis is a bad guy. He's a very bad man, so I expect it first at that. But no, I like Matthew Vaughn, and I think that's the only reason why I'm gonna at least give it the time of day, because Matthew Vaughn's involved.
Yeah, you were about to say something, CC? Oh, I think Jim Carrey.
No, I was just gonna say Jim Carrey went off on the second movie for that whole reason, that he felt it was a bit
Jim
too.
Carrey was in the middle of fucking having a nervous goddamn breakdown
Yeah, he was.
on top of a million other damn things at that
He was
point. I don't know what the hell you'd put on it.
Scared.
All kinds of crazy shit. Being accused of causing his ex-girlfriend to commit, you know what, and all that other crazy
Self-delete,
shit.
yeah.
He was going, and I'm not giving him excuses. I'm just saying he went off the fucking rails.
Oh yeah.
Like
he disappeared for a little while after that. I felt.
Yeah, he did. I think he went into some kind of, like, I don't know about rehab, but he clearly went and got some help or something. Yeah.
I also love his work though, so it's a little hard for me to see a reboot. That's he's already like he was in those movies, so it's kind of hard to separate at this point for me, anyways.
I mean, I'm not so sure about the reboot thing. Like, I don't even think that you can't not use Aaron Taylor Johnson still. Like, I mean, so what? He's jacked now. Well, like, wouldn't the real Kick-Ass get jacked over time from fucking working?
Well,
out
he
them?
never did, even in the current.
Oh, fuck the comics.
the
Like
books.
we've already established the comics fucking sucked. I'd rather see Mark or Matt Vaughn's version continue.
Well,
to
still,
be
it's
honest
not-
with you,
I like that. Dave
even
Lazuski's
as much of a
Kenny. I like
down
him
Kick-Ass
that way.
2 was, I'd love to see Vaughn pick up with a part 3 and kind of get things back in motion again. And even if it is kind of like this, having, like, you can poke fun at this handing off of the torch thing that's going on in comics right now with that too, right? Like, I could see that. I mean, they could have some fun with that. And Matthew Vaughn's a weird cat. Like, I've liked almost everything he's done, so I'm willing to give him a chance, right? Like, I'm not like, I don't like the idea of the word reboot, but I'm curious if that's what we're really getting here, or if it's just a reintroduction into this, because he didn't have anything to do with the second one, right? Or he just produced it, I think, or something like that.
Well, Billy Go Boom in the chat makes a good point. He hasn't seen Kick-Ass 2. And that second movie did a lot worse than the first movie, right?
Performance-wise, yes, it did.
Yeah, I think the main reason, though, was Jim Carrey really fucking hurt that movie's image in the press. That's what I think really hurt it. And not only that movie, because that's why he said that, because I'm trying to remember which tragedy happened right before that. Because that was what prompted him to say that whole thing. And it was just poor timing of the film. I think they should have held it off a little longer or something, maybe. Because, it was just at that point, it was just like a bad time to release it, I think. And he did not help the situation. Because if you looked at the box office there, it didn't do that much worse. It only did about 20-some million less.
Yeah,
So-
it was less. I think there's a thing. A lot of people who I knew who really enjoyed the first movie didn't even know the second one came out too. So there's people, by the time it hit Blu-ray, like, oh, there was a second one. Oh, I didn't.
Was that
know
right
that.
after Sandy Hook? I think it was.
Yeah, it was around that time.
I was gonna say, because that's what prompted him to say it in the first damn place, and it was just all this And because
Yeah,
he
I
said,
remember now.
because he was commenting on that, and then they brought up the fact that he's in Kick-Ass 2 and how violent he is, and he goes, well, yeah, of course I wasn't, and he made this stupid fucking convoluted thing like, oh, I wouldn't have done it if I'd have known, blah blah blah. But it's like, no, you fucking are, just own it, dude. It's fake violence and real violence are not the same goddamn thing, Jim. Right? And he backed
Oh,
himself into
dude.
this corner, and I'm sure he got
It's
a lot of pressure
just as
for
cringy as
ruining that
Robert
film's
Rodriguez.
image. Yeah.
It's just as cringy as Robert Rodriguez with his gun comments. It's like, dude, it's
Him too.
fiction. Yeah, when you try to bring this gun stuff into real life, you're kind of like, giving
That
credence
reminds me
to the
how
whole-
Cameron is lately with his stupid shit.
Oh
too.
yeah,
James
Cameron.
him too. You're giving
James Cameron.
legitimacy to the people
Yeah.
who say video games cause violence argument, because I don't believe that, one. But if you have to factor real life into the situations from fiction, well, guess what? A lot of people who say video games are bad, they do that too. So you may as well be on board with those types. And I think all of them are BS. I think all that crap is BS.
I'll say it's the
all of it.
opposite, because I get comments on my channel more frequently than you might think. If people choose to sing songs instead of doing something violent, video games can be the same thing. It's about the outlet, right? It's about getting that
environment
energy out.
also makes a difference too. Yeah.
Yeah, in a reasonable way. Instead of actually doing something violent, you play a violent video game. I totally believe that's real.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, let's be real. If you sit there and you put a kid down and let him watch nothing but horror films, the kid's going to grow up pretty goddamn fucked up, especially if you give him zero context,
Mhm.
right?
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing, is that sooner or later, most human beings figure shit out for themselves, whether it's through their parents, their environment, through their friends, through their other relatives, school, what have you. There just hits a point where, yes, some people like to use those kind of things as an excuse or a trigger when it's like, no. That thing was always there. You're just using that now as an excuse because you don't want to take responsibility for your actions. Sure. And that's what the one line in Scream is brilliant, where it's like, no, movies don't make psychopaths they make psychopaths more creative. I don't believe that line, but what I like about that line is it's like, no, you can say a movie gave you this specific idea, but that doesn't mean that you weren't going to do it in the first place. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the big difference. You can sit, because they had people who mimicked the Scream killings at the time. It's like, yeah, sure, they mimicked those, but that doesn't mean they weren't going to do something like that to begin with. Same thing with the Slender Man thing that happened here in Wisconsin a couple of years, it's almost a decade ago now, or more, but yeah. And they just come to find out that chick was just crazy as hell or whatever, but yeah.
None of these directors need to take responsibility for any of this crap. They just make, okay, I made a movie. It was a fictional story. Done. End of it. They don't need to apologize. They don't say, oh, I need to reconsider this, or I need to tone down on this. Like, seriously. Like, but when you do it, you're inciting the idea that fiction is real life and that fiction translates to real life. And you're trying to put that in people's heads. Yet not teaching people the idea of having the two be separate. Like, what ever happened to that conversation of separating the two? We used to always have that conversation when it came to video games, but now, but with guns, we can't separate that logic. We can't separate that. Somehow now the two are inseparable.
You know what's funny, and I didn't even think about this until recently. Like, sure, horror is one thing, and it's kind of taboo because, like, you had that Winnie the Pooh thing that happened with those kids at school recently. Did you guys hear about that? Where some teacher showed blood and honey. It's a whole convoluted story.
Oh, yeah.
The fucked up part is it took the teacher over 20 minutes to a half hour to shut the goddamn thing off. But, like, one thing I do notice, because I don't get to a lot of these conventions, but I always love seeing pictures that people post online and stuff about them. I see a lot of comic book conventions. You see a lot of single geeks or geeks here and there doing their thing and whatever. But some about the horror geeks that's different. It's always a family affair, right? And I noticed that like with the horror geek community, like, it's a whole family gig thing. Like, they've got the kids in there dressed like the Bride of Chucky and shit like that. And, one kid's dressed like the little puppet from Saw and Jigsaw or whatever his name is, you know, like they got, you know, they're all in on it. Like they love it. And kids, and I, you know, that are raised in that environment, they're taught from an early age usually what it is. But I feel like there's a stronger bond between them in that family unit than there is with some of these other kind of genre stuff. Like Star Wars doesn't feel like a family thing anymore. Marvel doesn't feel like a family thing. Disney doesn't feel like a family thing anymore. Comic books in general don't feel like a family thing anymore where everybody's involved. It's usually one portion of the family or just a single adult, right? I don't know if anybody else noticed this about this, but I don't know. Maybe I think that speaks volumes to the horror community, I think, more than anything, but just an observation.
Yeah.
It's like the time old tradition of passing down stories, right? Before we had television, before we had film, people would gather around the campfire and tell stories to their children, and their children would pass that down to their children. Even I've got a couple of like children's books that my mom, showed me when I was a kid that I remembered that I would, if I ever had kids, I'd totally show them to my kids, and I guess that's the thing with Star Wars. I was walking, I was in the market the other day. I was going shopping for food, and there's this 5, 6, 7-year-old girl with her mom. And she's wearing a Nirvana shirt. I don't know if she knows what Nirvana is, but I get that with the punk community with certain.
You got to think about that for a minute, CC. Her wearing a Nirvana shirt right now would have been like us wearing a Beach Boys shirt when we were a kid.
Yeah. And the truly timeless stuff, the great stuff gets passed down. And Star Wars.
I know, isn't that trippy right to think about it? But it's true.
No one's passing this stuff. No one's passing Star Wars down right now. It's
exactly.
Very few parents are thinking, I want to pass down Star Wars to my kids, unless it's the original trilogy, But it's not Disney Plus.
And you may have had a knee-jerk reaction to that comparison, but if you stop and think about it for a minute, you're like, no, that's probably a really good comparison. If you think about the impact that the Beach Boys had on music, and they were American, and the same thing with Nirvana, and the impact that they had on music in their era, and it's kind of similar in that respect, because basically the Beach Boys were the American Beatles. People forget about that at that time. For the longest time, they were, and Nirvana was kind of like the Beatles of the grunge era, but they were Americans, so I mean, you can't really compare them to the Beatles in that respect. So yeah.
Now,
harmonically, they're completely opposite. I get you there, but anyway, you were saying.
No, a little bit about Nirvana. Before I went to film school, I went to music school, and there was this old classic, symphonic stuff with trombones and trumpets and flutes and all that stuff. And they had this poster in the hall about major influential musicians of the era, like Beethoven and Bach and all that stuff, because that was their thing. And then right there, they have Nirvana of all things to represent modern music of the most influential artists of eras, past, classical and romantic and centuries past. They have Nirvana.
Okay, people are freaking out about that. Fine. Nirvana was like when we were growing up and people would wear Doors t-shirts. Okay, is that better? That's a better comparison. Then I can see people going, oh, yeah, I can see that because he's dead and he's dead.
No, but there are certain things. When
the depressing
Star Wars
emo
came
boys.
Out, 1980, Star Wars, and it was a huge, it was a culturally affecting thing, more than everything else around it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But now it's not the same, like you said. They're not passing it down to the next generation as much, or the next generation is just not as interested because they don't see what their parents liked about it, right? Like, because that's the thing I think that's missing the most. Jason Webster says Hollywood today, endless remakes and sequels. Yeah, this is something we've talked about quite often.
Unfortunately,
we won't find out until the sequel. Spaceballs 2, the search for more money.
Sequels.
No, it's God willing, we'll meet again in the sequel.
Yeah, they're better than the remakes, though. I'd take a lousy sequel over a stupid-ass reboot remake any day. But that's just me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'd rather see you try to legacy sequel it in some way. And I think maybe that's why I wasn't so harsh on The Exorcist as I probably should have been. Is I'm like, well, at least they tried. And the only things that got in their fucking way was mainly just the modern day political bullshit. That shit aside, it was like, okay, yeah, it was an Exorcist movie. Like, really? I mean, I can't say anything bad about it other than that.
Oh,
It's just,
it had modern drivel in there.
yeah, that's the part that ruined it. Like this idea that
Oh.
yeah, there's a one line and the ending, which is really kind of what ruins it. But yeah,
Oh wow.
because otherwise, I'm like, well, there's some interesting ideas here. It brings a few new things, not so much new things to the table, but things we haven't seen in the Exorcist franchise to this point. So yeah. But anyway, that being said, I know, Bill, I'm still waiting on it. I had my report from one of my sources on the film, a breakdown of it, and I'm looking forward to it. Kind of, sort of. It doesn't sound like it's going to be as bad as we had thought it would be, but I thought it was supposed to be out in August. I don't know what happened, unless they went for some reshoots or what, or they want to do some reshoots and the acting and writers strike got in the way of it, or what? Because I know they were testing it back in. When did I talk about that, guys? Do you remember? Was it back in June?
Oh,
May or June, I think it was.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it
definitely
was
sometime last
early
summer.
on when they were doing some test screenings for it, and I was really upset because I was like, I wish I was close to where somebody were there doing that because I'd love to see it, but so I could definitely give them my 2 cents on it. As well, shit, it's funny you asked that considering I'm wearing my Axel Foley shirt today, but
Oh, cool.
Nice.
yeah. You gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe? See, that don't come out natural for us, man.
Yeah, man. They can fall with a banana in my tailpipe.
You more blacker than he is.
See, Tom's starting his race swapping already.
Oh my.
See, it's okay for your dick to get hard. You're not the boss. Boss man can't get his dick hard. He's on the job. Make sure we get the right drinks. I drink club soda. I'm gonna throw up all over the place. I can't wait for it, but I can. It's kind of like, you know, like a. I don't want to compare it to a Band-Aid because it's not like that. Like I want to see another Eddie Murphy Beverly Hills Cop movie, but the plot and the things that I had heard early on really kind of turned me off. But then,
I remember it sounding pretty turn off-ish. I do remember us not being enthused from what we heard.
But the individual who saw the test screening said it wasn't all that bad. Of course, they were coming from a place where they hadn't seen the movies in years, and I don't think they had necessarily remembered seeing part 3 or not. But point being, it is a legacy sequel, and it does have a passing of the torch kind of thing in it. But unfortunately, their review was where it falls flat is when they tried to have the new character, the daughter of Eddie Murphy's character, Axel Foley, trying to act like her dad, and it just didn't work, I guess. And this is where I'm like, well, then maybe it shouldn't have been a daughter and it should have been a son. And you should have got somebody who can do that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's that or just not done that. He doesn't have to have a kid, right? Kalekioki says, have you guys seen the new YouTube pop-up when you're running ad blocker? Shit's annoying. No, I haven't, but I don't. The ad blocker I have doesn't actually work on YouTube anyway, so yeah, I don't have one that does that.
Wow.
I pay for YouTube Premium or whatever it's called.
There you go.
So I never see ads.
You could do that, and then you can also download videos and stuff that way, I guess. Supposedly. I haven't had it in a long time. Not since Cobra Kai was on YouTube Premium.
I got it because I like to listen. I have music playlists on there. So if I'm at the gym,
I know it has its
working
advantages.
outside, then it will play, one song after another, and then I don't get an ad before every song. So that was why I initially signed up for it.
I've thought about it. Oh, did this finally make its way to YouTube? Because I was going to do a show on this because I've been sitting on this thing for a while. I have it. The on-air pilot. Yeah, I've sent it off to a bunch of people, including like Critical Drinker and stuff like that. And I've been wanting to for a while do a discussion on it. I didn't know that it had hit YouTube.
They're both
even
in
if it did. And I'm surprised. Well, this is the unseen pilot. So what they did, this was like probably close to 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
CBS ordered a pilot for Beverly Hills Cop, the series, and it followed Eddie Murphy's son in the show. Eddie Murphy's in it in a cameo in the first episode, and then he was supposed to pop up periodically from time to time, but it was supposed to more closely follow his kid. And I haven't watched it all the way through since like way back when I first got it given to me by somebody. But I didn't know they put it up on YouTube. I'm surprised CBS didn't pull it down, because CBS decided not to go to series with it. And I'm just like, you got a Beverly Hills Cop series with Eddie Murphy producing and involved in it, and you're not doing it? What the fuck? And I think Judge Reinhold was also involved in it.
Reinhold's in it? Wow.
I don't know if he's in the pilot or not, but I think he was supposed to be involved eventually. But yeah.
Wow.
I'd have to watch the pilot. It's been like years since somebody sent it to me. So yeah, I'd have to go dig it out.
If it's on YouTube, I have to go find it.
Yeah, but if I guess it's on YouTube, then people can actually watch it now anyway. So there you go.
Yeah.
I've thought about getting the YouTube premium again, though. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Cloud.
No, I was gonna say, all the crap that does get made, why not try that one? I mean, why they should, all the things that get by, usually pilots, I guess get rejected.
Well, I've been told it's not very good. It's okay.
Did you know that they tried a freaking Rockford Files pilot, a new show with who was that actor? Dermot Mulroney or one of these guys?
No, actually, wait a minute.
No, it was they tried Rockford with somebody else, which is preposterous.
Now that you mention it, I do kind of remember them saying they were going to try to do
a well-known actor, but I can't remember who he is now.
I mean, I wouldn't be adverse to that, but is it even half those laws that made Rockford Files?
I'd be adverse enough for the both of us, buddy.
Well, are those laws even still in effect for half the things that he operated on? That's what I'm curious about.
What do you mean?
Because wasn't that the whole gimmick of his show, is that he was able to carry a gun and all this other kind of stuff because of certain laws at the time?
What do you mean, Rockford?
Yeah.
He kept his gun in the cookie jar. It was in it. I'm not sure what you mean about a gun.
Cold case deal and all that stuff.
Well, he wouldn't work on open cases.
Yeah, that was a thing. Yeah,
he messed around and did it sometimes.
Can they even still? Well, yeah, but that was what I was thinking of. I'm sorry, not the gun thing, but the closed case thing. Do they even still allow him to do that?
They didn't allow him to do it back then, so he wouldn't take closed. He wouldn't take open police cases, but he always get dragged in. He got dragged into them anyway a lot. But
yeah, that I know. But I'm talking about just in general, because that's kind of what the whole basis of the show was built.
Well, he became a PI. He was just a PI. I mean,
I got to finish. I just started watching it again. I hadn't seen it in years.
Greatest PI show ever, Rockford.
But Halloween took over, so that takes over my viewing.
I got you.
My stack of movies got really thick this week. Half of that's Nick Weiser's fault. So I got down the Evil Dead route.
Oh.
And I'm like, shit, if I'm going to start this, I might as well finish it. Because I had never seen the Evil Dead remake or the new one that just came out.
You don't need to. Just watch the
Well, I did.
Watch the real ones. Those are.
I watched the real ones first, and then I watched the newer ones.
You notice they won't touch Army of Darkness, and they better never.
Oh, don't you mess with my Army of Darkness.
That's the only one that's owned by Universal, and it's the only one they can't really do anything with it. I understand.
You could do a whole show about the special effects in Army of Darkness and
that's why they can only
up.
tangentially, I guess they can only tangentially talk about it and or attach anything from Ash versus Evil Dead or whatever.
Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness is all I need.
I still need to watch Ash versus Evil Dead. I heard it was a good show.
Yeah, me too.
For some reason, I must have just been a point in my life where I just because I would have been actually interested in watching that. I just must have been a point in my life where TV was just not around, I guess. So I sadly missed the mark on that one. So I'll give it a shot though after I get through the next few weeks of this original trilogy.
It's funny you say that, Davina, because that was the first one I saw. Because I had no idea it was an Evil Dead sequel.
Yeah, well, it does slightly.
Well, I figured it out within the first few minutes of the movie. I'm like, this has got to be an Evil Dead.
The second movie has a slightly different ending. Then they just went ahead and said, "Screw it." I mean, they did kind of even Evil Army of Darkness does kind of. It begins with a little bit of a contradiction to the last one, but not by much.
You can still cut them all together. I've told you guys this story before, right?
What?
There's a spot in each one of the movies where you can clip it, and it runs as one endless movie. Oh, and especially if you use the director's cut ending, because then it doesn't matter how the which one, which ending? where he drinks it and he sleeps until
He oversleeps.
oversleeps. Well, that's just because it takes out the framing of the
Planet of the
story.
Apes ending, yeah.
Well, yeah, because otherwise you can use the rest of the movie, but you just got to take out that framing of he's telling a story bit.
Right.
That's the only stuff you lose, and you lose anything that's in the intro. But you can cut from where the very, very last shot of Evil Dead, where it comes flying at his face, after it gets finished with some of the recap stuff in the beginning of Evil Dead 2, all that redoing of the first movie, it does the zoom in on his face, and it blasts out of his face. You cut right there. And then from that, at the end of that one, when he falls from the sky with the car, you can cut into Army of Darkness, and you don't get any more credits. You lose some of the like redo footage and all that kind of stuff, but otherwise it flows like a complete like 3 hour plus,
Nice.
like
Nice.
almost 4 some hour movie like thing. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Altogether. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for the S Mark ending. The S Mark ending is just more fun, but the Planet of the Apes
prefer
ending,
the theatrical cut too, because
Planet of the Apes ending is fun to see.
it's fun, but no, like I agree with you. Not only that cut has all the better takes. I don't know what Raimi's thinking in the international cut, because that one has the worst takes.
Oh God, yes.
It doesn't have like the good bad. I'm the one with the gun. It's got I ain't that good, and I'm like that's dumb.
Oh, I hate that when he did that. Yeah. Oh my God, why did you do that? Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun. Best line in the movie. The greatest lines of the movie. Yeah.
But anyway, we'll talk about that next week on. Oh, go ahead, Cece.
I'll say for me, Army of Darkness is a masterpiece, and in particular with the visuals. If you go back, I watched Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to watch Army of Darkness right after this, and that's what I did. And it's a clinic on visual effects and what you can do with like practical like dioramas.
Well, it's cheap as hell too. Yeah, but yeah.
But it holds up all these years later. It looks just so fantastic. It's so real. The little details they put into it is like, and I'm not against computer effects, but that movie is it's an absolute clinic in how to do visual effects.
It is indeed. And I know we're going to talk about that next week on
Tom?
Toxic something. I heard the word toxic, and then the audio just totally trailed off.
He just drowned. It's like
that's weird. I said we're going to talk about Army of Darkness next Tuesday on Toxic Tuesday, right?
Next week is Army of Darkness. That's right. Yeah, we'll have fun with that. Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun talking about that one. But tonight's Evil Dead 2.
You know what I remember about that movie? The first time I watched it, I was in the video store and I looked at the box and it had Roger Ebert on it. It's like Roger Ebert gives this movie 3 stars, and it was right on the front. They were really proud about it. And they should be.
Yes.
Speaks to what Ebert's impact was.
Very confused the first time I ever watched it, which I'll save that story for later on. But
Dead by Dawn.
Well, yeah, Dead by Dawn. I have to remind myself that because I grew up with the band Deicide, they had a song called Dead by Dawn. So I have to remind myself that no, we're talking about Evil Dead 2, not Deicide.
That's what it's so. That's what it's so.
So good though, but yeah, can't wait to talk about it. It's gonna be fun, and that's in a little over an hour. And Clobby, can't wait to have you on next week for Army of Darkness.
Cool, I can't wait. Love it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, was it just me, or did they make like 5 different versions of Army of Darkness back in like the early
3 or 4? Yeah, there's
coming out with
4.
Well, what are you doing to me, man? I bought that one of those ones. That's a pretty cool covers and coated boxes. And after the 3rd time, I said, "All right, no, look, I've got it.
I've got tons of them, dude."
Yeah, I must have 2 or 3. I don't even know where they are. They're buried somewhere.
Well, where the hell is it? I'm trying to find it here. Is it at the end of this? I'm gonna get nailed just for playing credits. I am looking for production assistants. Who did it? Come on!
What you looking
There's
for?
post production.
I saw Lucasfilm.
Okay, let's go back a little further. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. Ding, 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 ding.
Robert wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
cool.
We know that guy.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually know who he is.
We know that guy.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So with that, I think we're gonna wrap this up because we got Evil Dead coming up here in what hour roughly?
Yeah, an hour.
All right. So plug that up, Nick.
Oh yeah, so Toxic Tuesday in 1 hour, Evil Dead 2. A lot of you in the chat are very familiar with the fun that is had on Toxic Tuesday. It's gonna be a great time, and if you haven't joined us before, I think tonight's a good night to start doing that. So yeah, should be fun talking Evil Dead 2, and it'll be us doing that before next week we talk up Army of Darkness. So yeah, thank you for having me. It was short, but it was a very fun show, and I'll see you guys all either here on Thursday night or in an hour on my channel. Thank you, and thank you for the wrench servicers.
Indeed. Thank you for being here, Nick. And we have CC. What you got going on?
I got 2 shows to plug. Thursday, we're launching a new show, which is music television. With a little bit of that Beavis and Butthead vibe. We're not going to love everything we play. If it's not good, we're going to totally trash on it. But if we love it, we'll love it. We're going to watch music videos, and we're just going to talk about it for a couple hours. That'll be Thursday evening, a couple hours after Mead. And Friday, back to karaoke. Now that I'm settled into my winter digs and I'm settled for the next 6-7 months, back to Friday night karaoke. So look forward to that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So
if you want to hear us sing, if you want to hear Tom and I sing karaoke songs.
Absolutely. Check that out. And also we have Klobby. What you got going on?
Well, I've got tomorrow night, my wild card Wednesday night, and anything can happen. It's 9 p.m. Central, and of course 9 p.m. Central on Thursday nights. The clubhouse is in session. Hopefully Mark will be there, and of course Raquel's back, and then on Friday nights I'm hanging out with two big comic shows on my good buddy J-Man show, reviewing all of Jack Kirby's Fourth World at 7 Eastern, and then at 8:30 Central on Nick's channel, hanging out over there with the Comic Shop Boys. And then Saturday night Star Trek, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Raquel is back, and we're back to our voyage. We're starting starting up the third season of Star Trek Voyager, and our ongoing reviews of all of Star Trek. And I just want to say shout out to Mark D with the C. He will on his show next Sunday night. He will have all kind of great footage for us from New York Comic Con that he attended last week. So.
All right, 6. What you got going
on? Halloween is in 2 weeks from tonight. Very exciting. And that's pretty much it. I want to thank D-Bud Martin so much for being an amazing mod. Always.
D-Bud rocks.
He does a great job.
He does.
Midnight's Edge in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So thank you again, everybody. And I'm going to pop on over to Nick Weiser's channel here in a bit. And hopefully we'll see you guys there. This should link over there, and see you on the morning show. Otherwise, take care of yourselves and each other. And did we miss anything? I hope not. No? Okay. All right. Take care of each other and have a good one.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.